everybody, welcome to the second video. So make sure that you've watched the first one first, explaining the different prefixes of dis, super and anti. And this is the video that is going to explain a bit more about the specific task and the steps you need to do. So if you're struggling, I would suggest start with the mild task and I will tell you how to answer the questions. So the first thing you're going to need to do is write the first sentence, which is Hansel and Gretel approved the witch, like this. So you would write mild, then you would write number 1, Hansel and Gretel, something approved, which means if you approve of something, it means you agree. So they approve, they agree with what the witch does. So approved of the witch. Okay, so then we did our full stop. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video and copy this first sentence for me if you're doing the mild. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to think, is it dis or super? So as you can see on the PowerPoint, we have to add either the prefix dis or super. And you can even write this at the top of your page if it helps you. So which one goes at the start? Is it dis or super? And to figure this out, the best thing to do is to say the word with both. So is it disapproved or super approved? Okay, so what I'd like you to do is pause the video and write whether it's dis or super that goes in the gap. Okay, so I've done exactly the same and I've added dis. Okay, it's disapproved of the witch, which means doesn't approve of the witch. They don't like the witch. Okay, so then you would move on to number 2 and you would follow exactly the same process. So you would write the sentence first and then add on the line, is it dis or super? Okay, so follow exactly the same process for the mild. Now, if you're going to do the spicy task, I'm going to explain a bit more about that one. Okay, so the spicy task is 3 different prefixes, okay, and you've got to add them to the on the lines to the beginning of the root word. And this is following a very similar process to the mild, okay? So the first thing we need to do is write out that we're doing the spicy, and then again, if it's easier to write the prefixes at the top of your page, you can do that. Okay, so just like this, and then we're going to write number 1 and then going to write the sentence, so like this. So the children felt, and we're going to be using our best handwriting, something comfort around the stepmother. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is pause the video and write out the first sentence for me. Okay, so once you've written the first sentence like this, you've got to think which prefix fits on the line. So the best thing to do again is to add them all in and just say them. So is it discomfort, miscomfort, or super comfort? So what I'd like you to do is pause the video now and add in which prefix you think is the correct one to go on the line in front of the root word comfort. Okay, so I've done exactly the same, and it is it's discomfort. It's the opposite of comfort, okay? And it's not miscomfort, doesn't sound right, it's discomfort, okay? So what we'd like you to do is follow the same process for the next 2. You've got 3 sentences, and you've got to do exactly the same process. So the first thing is write the sentence, and then put in the correct prefix. And now I'm going to explain the hot task. So a way we can approach the hot task is to pick each prefix, so pick each one. So we'll start with in, okay, and you've got to think, can I use the prefix in to a root word that would make sense that I'm coming up with on my own? So I'm going to start with in and then work my way along them. So now I'm going to think, with the prefix in, what sentence can I make with the prefix in? So if I'm thinking about Hansel and Gretel and the story of Hansel and Gretel so far, we or if you know the story briefly already, we know that the stepmother can come across as quite unfair and quite mean in a way to Hansel and Gretel. And she wasn't necessarily very caring and sensitive towards Hansel and Gretel. So I can think of the word insensitive maybe. Because if you're very sensitive, it means you're very caring. And she was very insensitive. So I could, if I'm writing about Hansel and Gretel, my first sentence, I could think of the prefix and then I can think of a word that I can think of and then write the sentence. The witch is insensitive. The witch is insensitive. Okay, so if you're doing the hot task, I would suggest you work your way through the prefixes that are on the PowerPoint in bold, and then think, can you think of a word that prefix can be used for, and put it into a sentence. If you don't want to write one about the story, then you can do it in any kind of any day sentence. Okay, so dis is the next one. I can think of maybe discomfort, and can you put that into a sentence? Okay, so that is the hot task, and now I'm going to explain the extension. So the extension is very similar to yesterday. So it's any prefix that we have been looking at. Can you think of a list of words that we can add that prefix to? So if you're doing the extension, I would like you to have a think of what prefix you want to use. So pause the video and have a think of the prefix that you want to use. And then from there, just think of the words like yesterday. I did miss. Can you think of mistrust, mismatch, or other words that you can use for miss? If you did miss yesterday, can you think of a different prefix that you haven't done for the extension before? Okay, so for the extension, think of the prefix you want to use, and then just think of a list of words that you can add that prefix to. And for task 2, I would like you to think of words that begin with the prefix sub. So we looked at submarine. Can you think of any other words? Maybe in football you can have a substitute. Okay, that's the prefix of sub. So can you think of words and push yourself for a prefix that we haven't looked at already, which is sub. Okay, so that's a breakdown of the tasks. As always, below there is the pictures of the tasks up on the website called English Tasks at the bottom. Good luck with this, everybody. I hope this video helped, and we look forward to seeing your work. Bye!